So we had to make a few changes within our kitchen itself to ensure that we could bring in a lot of the local products. So as we're bringing in summer produce, it takes up space, and the boxes are different. So coolers are designed to take a certain size box, and you have shelves that are lined up to fit these produce boxes that you bought for years from your broadlines, and they're all the same. No, it's not the same when you start bringing in odd size boxes from smaller producers. Or they do mixed cases and you get a standard, you get a larger box than you're used to and it doesn't fit on your shelf. So we had to devise a kind of a system of plastic bins. Earlier they took some photos within one of our coolers, our produce cooler, and you'll see that there's some different Cambros in there, and we've determined that if we unpack everything, then we have plenty of room to put it away. I also moved a lot of the produce out of the cooler that doesn't really require refrigeration, such as melons, such as citrus, such as potatoes. A lot of these things you'll find within the institutions to be refrigerated. They're not required, and the flavor is better if you don't refrigerate them. So the only time they really need to be refrigerated is after you have manipulated them in some way, shape, or form. As soon as we hit a knife on it, then I require that it be refrigerated, because there's no guarantee that that knife is bacteria-free. It could have a dirty edge on it. It does happen, and if you leave that out at room temperature, then you're leaving yourself up to potential hazards. So at that point, once it's been processed, then we ensure that it gets refrigerated. But aside from that, it was just trying to figure out storage solutions, because as the produce comes in, it just comes in a little different. Fennel bulbs are just a little bit different. Sometimes they got a little more fronds on them than the others. You just work with the product itself, pay attention to it when it comes through the door. Don't take it for granted. They are organic, they are different. They do come in different sizes, and when we're dealing with products that are from a local source, they aren't sized, and they don't have the same spoilage rates that you normally would get from a broadline. And that's one of the deals that you get with it, and that's what you want, because that's what's natural. So if you deal with that and kind of understand it, get rid of the cardboard that's within your walk-ins, and you remove a lot of the errant material that would then in turn cause things to spoil faster. And if you keep them in a clean plastic bin, I haven't had any issues whatsoever with it. Same thing with the ranchers. Figure out your freezers, how much stuff you have to have on the shelf, determine how much product you want to ride on your inventory, and then as well as how long does it take to thaw. And you'll find that it's exactly the same as you would find from a broadline. So when it comes down to proteins, I haven't had to redesign a thing. It's exactly the same thing I would do. And they can come in, and it all depends on how often you want to bring it in and how much you want to have in your inventory. I can wash an inventory. I can wash $5,000 through a freezer within a week, no problems. So we bring it in, we pretty much put it right in the fridge. We don't thaw, we don't freeze any of it. It stays and it moves fast enough. Depending on if your property's slower, then you might have to figure out a place where you freeze half of it and keep half of it out and then rotate it through, to be determined to each institution at the time.